His name's Pac-Man. We've been porting the vampire gene into other species. Experimenting.
You made a goddamn vampire Pomeranian?
Number 1. Dracula actually predates Blade in Marvel Comics appearances. The Tomb of Dracula series first began its run in April of 1972, with Blade the Vampire Slayer making his very first appearance in issue 10 from July of 1973. Number 2. Following the success of Blade 2, Guillermo del Toro was offered the chance to direct the third installment, but turned it down to direct Hellboy instead, a project he had been wanting to do for years. He did, however, still do concept art and is given a special thanks in the credits. Number 3. New Line Cinema eventually went with David S. Goyer to direct, and while Goyer had written the previous 2 Blade movies, he was less experienced as a director, only having done a low-budget drama, Zigzag, from 2002. Number 4. An earlier concept of the movie was a dystopian future in which vampires had enslaved the human race, with Blade being humanity's last hope. Ultimately, it was scrapped for being too dark. Number 5. The opening scene set in Syria was originally scripted to be Iraq. However, following the US invasion of Iraq in 2003, it was changed to Syria, partly to avoid being too political, but also in a more practical sense, as was pointed out to David S. Goyer. Any unmarked helicopters in Iraqi territory would have likely been shot down, either by US or Iraqi forces. Number 6. Ryan Reynolds underwent a grueling physical training process, complete with gaining 25 pounds of muscle to play the character of Hannibal King. Number 7. Better known as Triple H, Paul Levesque's role was originally much smaller, but the producers liked his performance and screen presence so much that they expanded his character's role and gave him more lines. Number 8. Despite the various Apple products featured in the movie, Apple didn't actually pay for product placement. Instead, they merely offered their products at a 60% discount, enticing the production to purchase them. Alright, now for the one I'm sure you've all been waiting for. Number 9. This movie's behind-the-scenes drama has infamously become the stuff of legend. Wesley Snipes was reportedly unhappy with the overall direction of the film, as well as the casting of Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds, as he felt Blade didn't need any more sidekicks other than Whistler, and worried that they would take screen time away from him. Things got so bad that Snipes refused to speak with director David S. Goyer or even come out of his trailer, insisting that all communication be done via post-it notes left on his trailer's door. It even got so petty that Snipes would refuse to do rehearsals or even open his eyes in one scene, resulting in some very weird CGI. David S. Goyer would go on to say that Blade Trinity was the most personally and professionally painful thing he had ever been through. Number 10. According to Ryan Reynolds, Wesley Snipes at one point told him, "Keep your mouth shut, you'll live longer." The two have since seemingly buried the hatchet, as Snipes would go on to reprise his role of Blade alongside Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool and Wolverine, even throwing in a meta joke of,
"I'm already in the void. I'm not trying to get canceled again."
I don't like you.
You never did.
Number 11. Jessica Biel accidentally destroyed a $300,000 camera by shooting an arrow at it. She had been instructed just that, to aim at the camera, with them expecting the arrow to merely go by it. However, she had trained so much in archery and her aim had gotten so good that she hit it right in the lens. Number 12. In the original script, there was supposed to be a sex scene between Blade and Abigail. However, it was never filmed, which is probably for the better considering all of the troubles this production had. Number 13. The one-eyed newspaper vendor from the beginning of the movie was played by the film's director of photography, Gabriel Beristain, in a brief cameo. Number 14. Dominic Purcell performed most of his own stunts, including the iconic sword fight with Blade. Number 15. The production turmoils continued even after the film's release, when Wesley Snipes sued New Line Cinema and David S. Goyer for breach of contract and for not receiving his full salary. The case was ultimately settled out of court, with no details ever being publicly released. Number 16. An early TV spot had to be pulled because it mistakenly claimed that Jessica Alba was starring in Blade Trinity rather than Jessica Biel. Number 17. According to Underworld star Kate Beckinsale, New Line Cinema was planning a Blade Underworld crossover as a follow up to Blade Trinity, but the idea was ultimately scrapped in 2012 when the rights of the character reverted back to Marvel, who in 2019 announced a new version of Blade starring Mahershala Ali, who would be in the MCU. However, it has since been 5 years since they've announced it, and after numerous announcements of release dates and then cancellations of those release dates, we still don't know if the movie's ever actually happening. Number 18. The movie was ultimately followed up by a lesser known TV show that lasted for one season on Spike TV, with rapper Sticky Fingers playing Blade and David S. Goyer serving as showrunner. Number 19. Compared to the first two Blade movies, Trinity received strongly negative reviews, with even David S. Goyer claiming that no one really enjoyed working on it. And finally, number 20. Despite its critical reception, Blade Trinity was still nominated for Best Horror Film at the Saturn Awards, but lost to Shaun of the Dead. Thanks so much for watching to the end, guys. It's hard to believe that Blade Trinity is now 20 years old. It's a movie that I watched for the first time in high school, and even back then I kind of knew it was dumb, but I always enjoyed it for what it was. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of Blade Trinity? Which of these facts did you already know? Which one surprised you? Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff for more horror and Halloween content. And as always, every day is Halloween.